Hey, yo, everyone, Andrew here, bringing you another video review. Do you know what today is? Today is Wednesday, the best day of the week. You know why? Because it's comic book day. And that means we're going to talk about my comic load for the week. Two things real quickly. One, if my voice sounds a little off, it's a little raspy. I don't know why. Maybe because I just took a nap. I only got 3 hours of sleep last night because I have a sunburn and it's itching and is crazy. It is crazy how much it's itching me. Number two is apparently Hawkman and Justice League didn't come out this week. I don't know if it's because they're saving it for the fifth week of the month. Who knows? But just wanted to say that. I also don't have Dr. Manhattan on me. I must have left without getting it, which happens sometimes. But I will have a review of it next time I do my Andrew Credit Pick of the Week video. So, with that said, let's just jump into these reviews. Starting things off where we always start things off with a little Batman in our day. Batman The Dark Knight, issue number 12. So this is continuing the Scarecrow story arc that Greg Hertz has been utilizing in The Dark Knight. And basically, throughout the whole entire story, Batman is actually chained up and being psychologically attacked by the Scarecrow. And we get to see both Batman and the Scarecrow's origin being told parallel to each other. And we get to see the new methods that Scarecrow uses to induce fear. The question is this: is will the Dark Knight be able to overcome his own fears that every human has in order to defeat the Scarecrow? This new, deadlier Scarecrow. Just gonna have to read and see. Let's get into the good, the bad, and whether or not you should get it. Good, first and foremost, is I like how a lot of the Scarecrow's history is still in continuity. Greg Hertz shows respect to the previous continuity by utilizing a lot of stuff that we've seen from the Silver Age, but also from Four of a Kind, which was the Batman Year One annuals that told origins of various different villains. Scarecrow included. So he was a professor. He did experiment on people when he shouldn't have. But there's more to this. His father's connection to his origin, and also how screwed up the Scarecrow is actually in his head. I really do like the evolution of the character because you see the traditional Scarecrow costume, and then you see this one here too. You see the one with the sewed up mouth. We also get a good parallel of Bruce's history, too, of him becoming Batman and how fear might have played a part in it. Bad? I can't really say there was much bad about this. It was a good issue. I'll give it a 4 out of 5, and I'm glad to see that Batman the Dark Knight is becoming a better comic. Do I think it's still necessary? No. I don't think we need 4 Batman titles. I'm not going to complain because Batman's my favorite character, but still, I think it was a good issue. I do recommend picking it up. I think it's issue 10 that Greg Hertz run on Dark Knight starts. So if you want to get into the Dark Knight, start at issue 10, and then we go from here. Oh, my voice is really raspy. I Vampire, issue number 12. So the vampire zombie mummies are causing trouble, so much trouble that Stormwatch actually shows up. Another crossover event between Stormwatch and I Vampire has actually been having a lot of crossovers, but it works well for the comic. And basically, Stormwatch thinks of Andrew Bennett as the enemy. They think he is the leader, which, to be honest, he is the leader of the vampires, although they have been possessed and turned into zombie mummies. Interesting. But they go after Andrew Bennett, and of course, the big miscommunication and misunderstanding that happens in comic books. But the question is this: will they be able to sort things out before something tragic happens? Will one of their own fall in this issue? One of the Andrew Bennett friends. And more importantly, Andrew Bennett makes a rash decision. What decision is that? You're going to have to wait and see. Let's get into the good, the bad, and whether or not you should get it. Good. Again, I Vampire is constantly surprising me with what it's doing. The ending was an incredibly good ending. Good way to end off the 12 issues of I Vampire and going into the next series of I Vampire issues. It was a good ending. And a lot of twists and turns. Stormwatch actually surprisingly was played well in here. I was a little concerned because they're like pretty much from two separate Earths, but not Earths, but two separate worlds. But they were handled actually pretty well in this. The art was good as always, and I particularly like there was, I don't know if I would call it touching, but there was a moment between Andrew and Mary, Queen of the Blood, and it was actually kind of nice. Again, I don't know if I would call it touching because they're kind of screwed up people, screwed up vampires, but still, a nice moment. Bad. The only bad I can say, and I don't know if this really makes sense, but it seems as though Andrew Bennett is still trying to hold the zombie vampire mummies with his magical powers, but it seems as though they're still attacking people, and the art really doesn't help us tell if they're actually attacking people or if they're still frozen. So there was a bit of confusion on that part. But besides that, this is another great issue. iVampire is stepping above and beyond and out of the shadow of the standard vampire norm that has been set by horrible TV shows and bad movies of recent years. So 4 out of 5 also on that. Justice League Dark. So, Dr. Mist has betrayed the Justice League, but does he have a good reason for it? Or the Justice League Dark? Let's just call him the Dark. Or the JLD. I like JLD better. Basically, Dr. Mist and Felix Faust are working for someone and they're trying to get all the books of magic. So the Dark, the JLD, decide to split up to find all the various different books. While this is happening, an former enemy or a enemy of John Constantine shows up and he takes control of the other house. Not the House of Mystery, but the House of Secrets. It's house versus house, and I'm not talking about the television show. Who will come up on top, and who is the mysterious individual going up against John Constantine? Good, bad, whether or not you should get it. Good. Art is great. The pacing is good. There's a lot of nice moments with John Constantine in here. We get to see a little bit more of his backstory with Zatanna and why she doesn't really like him, which is a nice new twist on Zatanna's history. I like the fact that they're actually utilizing the what is it called? The House of Mystery and the House of Secrets in such an interesting and fun way. And we get to see a lot more occultish, magical people of the DC universe in this, even if it's in flashbacks. Bad, there's a villain. The villain in this, I don't really know 100% who he is because I think he's from Hellblazer, but I don't know because I never read Hellblazer. It would have been nice if we had the villains reveal at the end. But besides that, it was a good issue, and this will get a 4.5 out of 5. Justice League Dark has been a continuously good comic all year long. Enjoyed it. Voodoo, issue number 12, the last issue of Voodoo. Oh, Voodoo, it's sad to see you go because see, Voodoo is really one of the comics that I really enjoy getting into that I didn't think I was going to get into. Voodoo was just a surprise to me, and this issue continues to show what made this series good. Is that it was good writing, good pacing, good characters, good dialogue, and twists and turns to constantly make you wonder where the comic's going. Basically, this is exactly as it looks. Is Voodoo versus Voodoo, Priscilla versus her clone, in a fight to the finish. Who will come out on top? And at the end of the day, Voodoo or Priscilla, where they go next? Who will they team up with? Or who will they hunt down? Just gonna have to wait and see. I'm not even going to bother with good or bad with this comic because I'm going to give this a 5 out of 5. Uh, if I give any good or bad, it will probably reveal too much about this comic. Let's just say the action is good, the character moments in this is nice, and the overall direction of the characters. I'm going to put plural on there because one of them may not survive. And again, I don't want to spoil anything, but the direction that the characters go after this, I think is a safe place to go. It's good to see that at least one of them will live on. So 5 out of 5 on that. All-Star Western issue number 12. So Tallulah Black is the only one around that can help out Jonah Hex to go up against the crime Bible. But Jonah Hex, despite the fact he's tied up and being tortured, always has an ace up his sleeve. I'm not talking about the playing card. Well, you get the analogy. Anyways, so Will Tallulah Black be able to take on the crime Bible on her own? I keep on saying Babel, the Tower of Babel. Will she be able to take on the crime Bible on her own, or will she need help from some unlikely ally? Just gonna have to wait and see. Good, bad, whether or not you should get it. Good, I think I really like Tallulah Black. I think she is a great character. I like how she's utilized in this. The fight that she has at the end, although very short, ended in a very satisfying note. I think Jonah Hex was, to use a British word, brilliant. Although that's not really British. That's just a word in general, but is used, you know, anyways, he was brilliant in this issue. I particularly like the fact that he's, tied up, hanging, dangling, and getting trash talked to, yet he still has the upper hand in some which way. The utilization of Gotham, its mythos, its families, and its characters are very well handled. Bad. There's no bad about this at all, only that they try to set up for the next story arc, and I just wasn't drawn to it. I wasn't attached to it. But then again, we'll just have to wait and see because the next story arc could be good. On a whole, whether you should get it, a 5 out of 5, good issue, definitely. All Star Weston continues to prove why it's one of the best of the New 52. Just really good writing. Superman issue number 12. So Superman's going up against the Russian alien extra dimensional creature thingamajiggy lizard dude. Let's just call him Reptile for short. And basically he is going up against the lizard folk, and they fight against each other, and we find out some interesting things about this lizard folk. We find out where they're from, why they're there, and what they're doing there. And they may not actually want to be on Earth. Maybe they were brought here against their will. Maybe. You don't know. But let's get into it. The good, the bad, and whether or not you should get it. Good. Superman felt more like classic 90s Superman here. I really did think the character, he didn't feel like the whiny emo Jonas Brother Twilight Superman that we've been getting in Action Comics, which I'm happy about. This feels like Superman. It could be helping that Dan Jurgens is the one that's writing it, and Dan Jurgens wrote Superman in the 90s for a good amount of time. But I feel as though the character is being portrayed like he should here. I also like the bit at the end with Lucy Lane. And again, like I said in the last issue, one thing I like about the previous few issues in this is we get that Clark Kent Lois Lane drama that goes on. It almost feels like the old Lois and Clark Superman television show, which is nice. So that's another thing I like. The art was also good too. The art is, with the exception of one section with Superman eyebrows, the art is very nice. Bad. It's kind of the alien extra dimensional reptile dude. The story with him is kind of cliche, and Superman kind of acts weird in this because the reason that the reptile gives is that, okay, a little bit of a spoiler, that he was torn from his home and that everything he did was in self-defense. But Superman keeps on saying, well, you have to answer for the crimes you did. And while I kind of agree with Superman, the way he approached it was kind of weird. It was just like, well, geez, how would you feel if you're torn from your home and being tortured, and you're trying to defend yourself? Granted, the lizard dude probably went above and beyond what he should have done, but it's kind of weird how Superman acts. But besides that, on a whole, this was a good issue. Uh, I'm interested to see where Scott Lobdell goes, and I will miss Dan Jurgens on this comic. Although he didn't push the envelope, it was still fun. 3.5 out of 5. Moving on. Sorry, my voice is really raspy. Um, Flash issue number 12. So we get the glider, which is this girl right here, which I don't think was a Flash rogue beforehand. Maybe she was a Wally West rogue. I don't know. Um, I'm more in tune with Barry Allen and his stories back in the Silver and Bronze Age than I am with Wally. But she is the leader of the rogues, and we get a lot of rogues in this. We get Heatwave, Captain Cold, although Captain Cold is not part of the team, Pied Piper, Trickster, Mirror Master, Weather Wizard, among others. There's more that shows up in this, and basically they all join up together, with the exception of Captain Cold because he's being left out because apparently no one likes him. Um, and they basically want to take down the Flash, but they're doing it in a unique way. Basically, the Glider Girl has a thing to pick with a particular person in the Flash universe. Will the Flash be able to save the world time and time again without tarnishing his good name? I don't know. Good, bad, whether or not you should get it. Good, I think the utilization of the rogues was very nicely handled. The look for all of them are good, and there was a good voice delivered for all of them. I like the glider, the new character. I wanted to say she's new. And I do like the overall confrontation that happens in the comic itself with Captain Cold in and the Rogues. Bad. The only two bad I can say is one. There's not really a lot of Flash actually interacting with the Rogues. He kind of just sees them doing what they're doing. And two, Flash is kind of set up in a very predictable way. I could have saw like 3 panels coming, and I'm like, oh, this is gonna happen. This is gonna happen. This up, it just happened. Besides that, this is still a solid issue. 4.5 out of 5. Really did enjoy it, and I like the direction they're going with the Rogues. So on to Hawkman. Hawkman versus the mercenary slash killer Pike. And this all kind of ties into two things. Basically, Hawkman is fighting Pike, who has basically Hawkman on his list of things to kill. I wonder how that is. You just wake up and you have like a things to do list, like a honeydew list, like honeydew this, honeydew that, and like a things to kill list. Hawkman, Aquaman, that gopher in the backyard. Anyways, there's just a big fight between the two of them. They both kind of bicker back and forth with each other, and it all leads into how Hawkman's going to tie into the Demonites, but also Thanagar, and the introduction of an old Hawkman character. Good, bad, whether or not you should get it. Good. The fight was actually pretty well done. It was handled. Each character got back and forth in this, and even when you think one of the characters is defeated, they're not really defeated. Two is I do like that Hawkman's touching in the Thanagar stuff. It seems as though the Hawkman of Earth 2 is going to be more, well, not the Hawkman, but the Hawks of Earth 2, if anything, like Hawk Girl, who has shown up, is going to be more magical based and Egyptian based, while Hawkman of Earth 1, or Earth Prime, the new 52 Prime universe, is going to be a little bit more grounded in the Thanagar lore of Hawkman. It's going to be more like Kitar Hall versus Carter Hall. An interesting way of separating the Hawks without actually having to merge everything together. Uh, so I like that. That was good. Another thing that was good about this is we get an introduction of a long, I don't want to say long lost character, but a character that needed to be in the Hawkman comic from the get go. From the get go. Bad. The one thing is that character that does show up, I don't like their costume at all. Maybe it's only temporary until they get something else, but I don't really care for the costume at all. So I really didn't like that. And two is I don't really like the cliffhanger that they had it left off on. It's kind of interesting, but at the same time, it's like it seems as though Hawkman has memories that he doesn't reveal to the reader until that moment. But does he reveal? It's on a whole, whether you should get it, 3.5 out of 5. This was better than the last issue, and probably not quite as good, but close to the issue beforehand. Rob Liefeld has been a very hit and miss on Hawkman. He's either been very good or very meh on it. But I did enjoy this issue, so recommend getting it. Okay, we're coming up to the last two titles of this week. Green Lantern New Guardians. So basically it's Invictus versus the Guardians itself. We learn the truth on why the Guardians are together, what role Kyle Rayner has to play in it, and on a whole, Invictus's ultimate plan. And that's basically just at the end of this, some members may be leaving, some members may be staying, but at the end of the day, we're going to have a new team for the new Guardians. Good, bad, whether or not you should get it. And basically, it's just a big fight with Invictus. I don't want to lure you in any wrong direction. Good is I like the interactions with all the various different core members, and the fact that despite their incredible differences and their incredible character differences too, these individuals find a way to work with each other. If you look at their alignment, I mean, Karen is awful good. You look at like Fatality from the Star Sapphires is chaotic good. You look at the Red Lanterns, they're chaotic evil. You look at LaFreeze, he's chaotic too. Well, actually, the Red Lanterns would, yeah, chaotic evil. You look at the Yellow Lanterns, they'd be lawful evil. You look at the Blue Lanterns, they'd be neutral good. Um, I'm using D&D alignments to help you out, but all these characters who really shouldn't be working together are working well together. As much as I like Fatality and Bleeze and stuff like that, I'm happy to see Atrocitus and Star Sapphire are going to join this team at issue 0. I think it's necessary because they're good characters and they should be on this team. LaFreeze was enjoyable in this, particularly the ending with Invictus, which I thought was funny. Of course, it's LaFreeze. He's always funny. The art was good, and on a whole, the only complaint I could say, the only bad, is I felt as though the fighting could have been handled a little bit better. And Kyle Rayner is a freaking idiot. He allows the Weaponeer to go onto Invictus' ship with just Mook. Mook, is it? The Indigo Tribe member. Should have sent someone else in there, just as backup. Besides that, this was a good issue. I will also give this a 3.5 out of 5. It was enjoyable. I'm almost leaning towards a 4. Let's give it a 4 because it was fun. It was fun, and New Guardians I'm gonna stick with. I am gonna stick with. And rounding out this week, our team up book, Teen Titans. So basically, this armor that Cassidy is. Did I just call it Cassidy? Because Cassandra is wearing is. I can't believe I call it Cassidy. That's weird. The armor that Cassandra is wearing is tearing her apart. Is basically controlling her. However, she is all well and good wearing it because someone else wants that armor. Someone bad. And well, you might as well have the devil you know rather than the devil you don't. Teen Titans are basically torn on this. Well, not torn, but the team is not together on this. Solus, Kid Flash, and Bunker are recovering, while Red Robin and Superboy are trying the best they can to free out Cassandra. Will they, or will unfortunately the battle continue? You're just gonna have to read and see. Good, bad, whether or not you should get it. Good. I like how they try to handle with the armor, particularly using Superboy's powers. Whether or not it works or not is up in the air, but I do like the fact that they tried to be clever in that utilization. Um, I really do like this team. It's grown on me. Again, I think the only member that didn't work in it is Skitter, but I think Skitter's no longer part of the team. Um, but I really do like Solus. I do like Bunker, and then the Prime Four, the Elite Four, Tim, Cassandra, Connor, and Bart. I just think the team has a good balance to it. I also thought there was some pretty good fighting in this, particularly Red Robin and Superboy working together against Sandmark. And it leaves off, bad. It leaves off on kind of a cliche cliffhanger, just a tad bit cliche. It's not bad. Well, it's not horrible, but it's cliche. It's predictable. Next thing is that the art isn't bad art, but as sometimes Sandmark looks like a man, kind of, and Tim's hair just it has a mind of its own. It has a mind of its own. On a whole, whether you should get it. 3.5 out of 5. It was a good issue. It was decent. And Teen Titans seems to be a holding at a 3.5 average throughout the weeks. Sometimes it goes a little bit lower, sometimes it goes a bit higher, but that's really what you come to expect from this comic. Out of Scott Lobdell's comics, I think this is my second favorite of the three. He's off Superboy, though, and he's jumping on Superman, so we'll see how he does with Superman. Putting aside any story elements of things, one thing I can say about Scott Lobdell on Teen Titans is he's at least trying to do stuff different on it, and I can commemorate that. There's a lot of similarities in stories from previous Titan stories, but this feels like a different team. And I'm almost coming to terms and acceptance of the fact that there was no Teen Titans team beforehand, and that this is the Teen Titans. And saying that it's actually kind of a good thing. You let go and you grow to accept. You grow to like this team a little bit more. So I will give Scott Bladell props on that. I do want to take one moment to discuss real quickly that Scott Bladell said that in issue 0 it'll be a realization that, not a realization, but it'll be said that Tim Drake was never Robin, that he was always Red Robin. Um, how do I feel about this? Of course, I would rather have Tim be Robin. Um, it's part of what made Tim Tim. Is the fact that he became Robin by choice, not by tragedy. Although tragedy eventually hit his life. But if it means that if it means Tim can step outside of the shadow of being Robin, if it means that we get more interesting and more unique things with Tim Drake, it may not be a bad thing. I'm not saying I'm too particularly happy about it, but I do want to say that I'm open to the idea. The only two Robins that I think need to always have been Robin are Dick and Jason. Dick because he was the original, and Jason because he had to be the Robin that died. Uh, I I mean, with Tim and Damien, I'm always open with the possibilities that they weren't Robin. Damien obviously is Robin, but Tim looks like he wasn't. So, interesting. We'll see how it goes. I'll give you my full opinions, and I probably will do a what I am thinking based off it next month when we get to issue zeros. But that is my Andrew Cutter. I almost said picks of the weeks. It's a raspy voice in the sunburn that's killing me here. That is my comics for this week. Sorry that I didn't have Dr. Manhattan on me. I really looked forward to getting it, but I think I pulled it out of my box and I accidentally put it back in. It happens. So go ahead and end this video here. This is Andrew saying peace out for now.